Bible has a number of non-literalistic allegories and allusions to reincarnation, both in the Old and New Testament. For instance, in Job 14:7 is said, "For there is hope for a tree if it is cut down, that it will sprout again and that the tender shoots of it will not cease." Furthermore, in versicle 14, the biblical writer questions, "If a man dies, shall he live again? All the days of my appointed time will I wait till my change come." The obvious allusion to why God gives a new body is found in the following versicle. "All of them shall wax old like a garment. As a vesture shalt thou change them, and they shall be changed." The allusion to the body as a spirit's clothing is very powerful and descriptive. Jesus himself in Mark 2:22 and 23 repeats the idea twice, brightening the reason why spirit returns to a new body and a new life. No one sews a patch of unshrunken goods on an old garment. If he does, the patch tears away from it, the new from the old, and the rent becomes bigger and worse. And no one puts new wine into old wineskins. If he does, the wine will burst the skins, and the wine is lost and the bottles destroyed. But new wine is to be put in new wineskins. Within the following Psalms, the allusion to the spiritual valley and darkness is clearer. Although King David speaks about reincarnation in the past, "Such as sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, being bound in affliction and iron. He brought them out of darkness and the shadow of death, and brake their bands in sunder." And here we would have to compare it with 1 Peter 3:18-20. Addressing the same. Once more, in these biblical versicles, it suggested that death can be defeated, as it is stated in Hosea 13:14. "I will ransom them from the power of the grave. I will redeem them from death. O death, I will be thy plagues. O grave, I will be thy destruction." Jeremiah also refers to pre-existence of the Spirit and to reincarnation. "Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations." Using the powerful metaphor of a potter, where the vessel symbolizes a human being, and God as a potter reworks a vessel until it seems good, the prophet explains the purport of many lifetimes, in a cycle that repeats itself until perfection is achieved. Then the word which came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, "Arise and go down to the potter's house, and there I will cause thee to hear my words." Then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he brought a work on the wheels, and the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So he made it again another vessel, as seemed good to the potter to make it. Then the word of the Lord came to me, saying, "O house of Israel, cannot I do with you as this potter? Saith the Lord. Behold, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are ye in my hand, O house of Israel." So the prophet surpasses those who think impossible for a spirit to be human again in a new body with a new name. "Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me?" At the beginning of Ecclesiastes, there is a statement credited to Solomon, king of Israel, famous for his wisdom, where once again, the metaphor of cycles or circles, which later in his explanation to Nicodemus, Jesus the Christ states as well, "The wind goeth toward the south, and turneth about unto the north. It whirleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to his circuits." The original word in Hebrew translated as wind is roah, which means spirit in Hebrew as well. Furthermore, the translated as circles appears in the original text as kabib, which means cycles. Thus, a second reading leads to a deeper significance. The spirit goes to the south and cycles about the north. It cycles and cycles about continually, and on its cycle the spirit returns again. The same allegory is repeated immediately in the next versicle, Ecclesiastes 1:7. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. The thing that had been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and God requireth that which is past. As written in Ecclesiastes, the book of Lamentations ascribed to Jeremiah, mentions again the idea of cyclic and continuous renewal. Turn thou us unto thee, O Lord, and we shall be turned. Renew our days as of old. And there are more allegories that suggest reincarnation. For example, Amos, one of the 12 prophets of the Old Testament, speaks of the spirits that ascend to the spiritual valley to then descend to the earth again. Though they dig into hell, thence shall mine hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. This image of spirits ascending and descending from heaven to earth repeatedly is clearly described in the meaningful dream of the famous ladder of Jacob. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven, and behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. The Book of Wisdom, within the canon of the Catholic Bible, ascribes to Solomon the following: And I was a witty child, and had received a good soul, and whereas I was more good, I came to a body undefiled. Regarding the lack of recollection of past lives, Ecclesiastes says, There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. At Matthew 16, versicles 13 and 14, is related that Jesus asked his disciples, Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they said, Some say that thou art John the Baptist, who had been executed by that time, some Elias, and others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. So why did Jesus ask that question and did not correct his disciples if reincarnation was a falseness? Since the Master himself made the question, it reveals that in Israel was then common the belief in reincarnation. It would be outstanding that Jesus did not give a teaching opposing such belief, since any time he saw occasion, the Master enriched the apostles with wise lessons in preparation for their forthcoming times. Instead of his rejection to such belief, if it were false, Jesus tells his disciples that John the Baptist was Elijah.